problem is most people are what? Lazy. Most people are what? Inconsistent. Most people are what? They'd rather doom scroll than challenge themselves. Most people are what? Undisciplined. It's really that simple. If fertilizer prices go up 100%, who has to pay for that? That's us, the consumer. So the prices are going to go up the longer this lasts. And I think this is being drawn out by design. That being said, we can't control that from where we are. We can control is how, instead of chat GPTing your conversations with your phone, which science has already shown that using AI in that way makes you actually more stupid. Millennials is the first generation that's actually more stupid than the generation prior, the first time in US history, I think world history. The scientific method is the best way to become a strategist. And so you're probably saying, what the hell is a scientific method? This goes all the way back to middle school. It's a very simple process. It's actually a way to critical think. The scientific process is you're just going through life and you... Yo, what's up, everybody? This is the N2N podcast, and I'm your host, Dr. N2N, also known as the Ninja or the Prolific Ninja on my socials and by my family and friends. And because my fans are my friends, you can call me Ninja too. This is the N2N podcast, the alpha to the omega, the beginning to the end, talking about life, motivation, drive, success, self-improvement, and offering you morsels in this all-you-can-eat buffet called life. Back in the studio live. We missed a week, had to rerun something. It's just been a crazy start of Q2 2026. I told y'all way back in January. Whoops. Oh, shit. Yeah, I told y'all way back in January that this was the year of the fire horse, and fucking things are heating up, bro. Strait of Hormuz still in question. There's problems there that I'm going to get to. But, man, it is such a good time. Just got back from Las Vegas. Mega attorney conference. The vibe was incredible. The energy was incredible. Maybe that's because I brought the energy, but it's a good time. In Vegas, y'all might be on to a comeback. So maybe an investment thesis there. But that's what we're talking about today as we get back in the studio is how to become a strategist. But before we get into that, I'm going to start this episode as I start every day, which is when I wake up in the morning. I thank God and the universe for another day to hopefully be great and hopefully inspire just one person to live to their fullest controllable potential. Hopefully that's you today. And so with that, I want to give thanks to all my fans, supporters out there for liking, commenting, following, sharing the show. We continue to grow this show tremendously, and we only grow this with you, the listener, the fans, the supporters, because I do this all on my own dime, all on my own time. My law firm, all the projects that I work on, all that revenue supports this show. And so I give this show as a gift, as a rebalance of karma for all the blessings that I've received to you. And so for you, this is a karmic rebalance opportunity, which means I give you free knowledge, you owe me a debt. I don't want that karmic debt. How to repay that is for you to share the show. We like to say if you're knowledge swole, share the show. That's how we grow, and that is how we grow, and that's how we restore that karmic balance between us. And hopefully this show is one that you get inspired by to share. Okay, so real quick recap on current events. The war in Iran is not over. All this peace talks, not over. It's just kind of a temporary stall. It's kind of, to me, it feels like the quiet before the storm. Okay? The docking of the last ships of oil, fertilizer, resources, whatever, before the strait was closed with the war, are now reaching their destination points. So what we've been living on for the last month has been basically that the backlog of ships that got through landing to their destination, and therefore we're still not feeling the effects. But if that strait continues to stay closed, arguably today, today is Saturday as we're recording this, they're saying it's, quote, open, but it's not really open because not much is happening. Because no other ships have been able to leave, we will soon feel effects economically downstream of limited supply of all these resources that are getting caught up there. If you look at the data, the price of fertilizer has increased basically 100% since the strait is closed because they are anticipating the reduction of supply. And obviously, if fertilizer prices go up 100%, who has to pay for that? That's us, the consumer, because you need the fertilizer to plant the crops and the crops to yield the food and the food to get converted to whatever we eat at our table. So the prices are going to go up the longer this lasts. And I think this is being drawn out by design. All speculative conjecture. That being said, we can't control that from where we are. What we can control is how we act, feel, and think, or what we say. Say is part of acting. Those are the things we can control. And when we control how we strategize about things, right, we feel more comfortable and confident and less cortisol in our bodies that's creating stress. You want to learn how to reduce your cortisol. So to do that, you have to become a strategist. And most of y'all are like, what the hell does that mean? Why do I need to become a strategist? Because instead of doom scrolling, which half of the generation is doing, instead of chat GPTing your conversations with your phone, which science has already shown that using AI in that way makes you actually more stupid, okay? Millennials is the first generation that's actually more stupid than the generation prior, the first time in U.S. history. I think world history, where the millennial generation is less intelligent than all generations prior as the generations pass on. Okay? You must learn how to become a strategist. And how do you do that? What is a process to become a better strategist? For me, because I'm kind of technically minded, I have found personally that the scientific method is the best way to become a strategist. And so you're probably saying, what the hell is a scientific method? This goes all the way back to middle school. Okay? It's a very simple process. It's actually a way to critical think. The scientific process is you're just going through life and you observe something, right? And so you create a question. I wonder if curiosity, plenty of books have said one of the key components of being a successful person, a key trait that most successful people have is curiosity. And so when you're curious, you can form questions about the world that you don't know. Okay? That is called a hypothesis. If A happens, does B happen? Or I wonder if closing the Strait of Hormuz will cause an increase in oil prices. I wonder if the Iran war is leading us to global digital currency and control. I wonder if we actually did go to space and circle the moon. All these things are questions to strategize and think about. So what is the next step in the scientific process, right? You form a hypothesis, you test the hypothesis, and you test the hypothesis in two ways. You run the experiment, if you have control over those factors, or you try to observe data points from the resources that are available. That could be news, it could be citizen journalists, it could be scientific publications, all these things. The difference in those two things is if you run the experiment, you have control over the variables. If you're taking it from data sources, right? If you're getting your data from other sources, you don't have control. So what does that mean? You have to consider the source. Is the source of that data trustworthy? Is the source of that data unbiased? Is the source of that data legitimate? Right? So again, you're testing a hypothesis. Man, if I publish the advertisement this way on social media, will I get a good return on my investment? Right? And in marketing and social media, there's actually this thing called A/B testing. You actually run two versions of an ad and you test it. And then you collect data as which ad brings back more response. Very simple scientific method experiment. And then let's say you run ad A with a picture, like let's say I'm selling a legal service, right? I post a picture of a car wreck, and I post a picture of somebody being put inside an ambulance. Run both ads, and which ones get more response? My hypothesis would be the one in the ambulance gets more response because it's a more emotional type advertisement placement, right? Run the ad, get the results, which ones convert? So let's say out of ad A with just a car wreck, I get 100 responses, I sign up one client. It's a 1% sign up rate. Ad B, I get 200 responses, and I get, 10 signups. That's a 5% response, right? So now, instead of spending more money on add A with just a car wreck, I dump it all in add B. Boom. Then my hypothesis was proven true, right? So it's very simple. Form a hypothesis, run the experiment, or collect the data. And based on the data, you either are re-hypothesizing or you refine the question that you're trying to get to the answer, or you go out and collect more data points because if you don't have enough sample size. And literally, that is it. So back to my example, car wreck, hospital ambulance. Now I dump all the money into hospital ambulance and I'm getting a very strong response. Well, the secondary hypothesis is, how do I get even a better response? Maybe the person in the ambulance is a female. Maybe it's a child. Maybe I put a man. Maybe I put, Asian person, black person, Hispanic, whatever it is. I continue to test to optimize my ROI from a strategic business marketing standpoint. Okay? So that is how you become a strategist, because that process, the scientific process, form a question / a hypothesis, run the experiment or collect the data, right? If you're collecting data, consider the source, the reliability, the legitimacy. Where is it? Is it a primary resource where it's somebody reporting on a direct observation, or is it a secondary resource, which is a resource relying on another resource, and so on? The closer you are to the primary, the more reliable the data is, okay? You collect the data or you run the experiment and you get more data. And then from there, you keep doing it again, over and over and over and over and over again, until you get to the final answer or the final destination or the final, decision point you're trying to get to, and then you go with that. But the key here is that even if you do it once, that's not being a strategist. Being a strategist means you're always running the scientific method in your mind, in everything you do, right? People ask me, how do you think so quick? Because my mind is geared towards running these scenarios in my head. Even as I'm driving, hauling ass, wherever I'm going, I'm continually thinking, testing hypothesis. And it all starts with, I wonder if. Really, it is. It's that simple. It really is that simple. And it can work with the employees that work for you, your staff, your team members. Man, I wonder if I put this person over here instead of they're doing the job over here. Maybe they're better skilled over here. What are the data points that would lead me to believe they would be better at this role than what they're currently doing? Can I get more out of them in the new role or not? Well, they do this right, they do this wrong. They don't answer they don't bring, all these things, testing your hypothesis, right? That's based on prior data. Now, I might want to put them in the new role and start giving them those little bit of responsibilities and see how they perform, right? And when they're performing, I'm running the real-time experiment. Man, they're actually pretty good at this job, the new job. Or man, they're kind of average, mediocre. Can I boost them a little bit? Support them a little bit more? Or man, they really suck at this. Let's put them back in their old role. Constantly thinking, right? These investments that I'm making, right? AI, Cura Connector, MyMedi, all these things, Legacy X token, all these things. You're constantly thinking and tweaking. What if? I wonder if. Because if you don't do this, what happens? It's the same old shit. Nothing changes. Nothing moves. It's just it's just blah. You're at a standstill, stagnant. You see, it's the hypothesis, the scientific method, being a strategist that keeps things pushing forward towards progress. I bet you, I don't know him well, I bet you that's how Elon Musk thinks of his ideas. I wonder if. Let's go test it. That's it. It's really that simple. The problem is, most people are what? Lazy. It's really that simple. Most people are what? Inconsistent. Do it once, good enough. Most people are what? They'd rather doom scroll than challenge themselves. Most people are what? Undisciplined. It's really that simple. I mean, it is, it is so easy to win these days. because of all the reasons I just said. You just got to put in the work. Got to put in the work. And one of that is just having an inquisitive mind and then taking action to run the experiment. So to be a master strategist, right? To be a master strategist, right? It's kind of like chess. Man, the hypothesis running throughout the game. If I move this piece here, I look at the player that I'm playing against. What are their tendencies? What are their historic strategies? Those are data points. See how they react, right? I may bait them into making a fatal move, whatever. Same thing in poker, same thing in all environments. Office politics, become a strategist, right? What if I do kiss up to the boss? Will I get favor? Will my employees my teammates try to sabotage me? All these things, right? It can be mentally fatiguing. That's why being consistent, being disciplined, doing the fitness stuff builds up your resiliency. Because once you get used to this, or once you start enjoying this like I do, it is constant. You're constantly thinking about, I wonder if, what if I do ... Man, it works this way, but is there a way to improve it? Man, we're doing all right, but we're not hitting the audience we actually need to. So how do we pivot to get to that audience? Form a hypothesis. Well, what if we do this? Test it. Okay, let's go try it. Don't go all in, right? You're not going all in if you're testing hypotheses, because then you're just going to be, if it doesn't work, you're fucked. But you get to toe dip in a lot of directions, collect data. Okay, I get this new data. What if I do it this way instead? Okay, keep going and keep going. So you're incrementally progressing upwards. But if you don't do this, you're just stagnant. Your life is stagnant. You're sitting there wondering, man, what if? What if I had done this? What if I just thought about it this way? You don't want that. Trust me, you don't want that. I'll be 52 next year. I'm thinking back of all the times. My biggest regrets are when I think back and I'm like, man, I didn't do it. I didn't take that move. I wasn't bold enough. Right? I don't live with regret, but I do live with lessons. Right? Because however life rolled out, that's where I am now. It's made me who I am now, and I'm proud of that. Okay, but I do look back and I'm like, man, had I only blank, whatever it was, had I only went all in whatever back in the day, life would be entirely different, right? Even maybe more grand than what it is now. Maybe, who knows? But you don't want that. I'm telling you, you don't want that looking back saying, man, what I had just done, what if I had just thought about, what if I just executed? You don't want that. So in order to progress, right? And the scientific method, the hypotheses you generate can be at any level you want. It could be about your own personal life and self-improvement. It could be about how you view global economic events. Again, going back to, it helps you critically think. Did we actually go to space and circle the moon and take pictures of Earth from the dark side of the moon? Were those photos real? Right? I have my opinions. I'm sure you have yours. But I tell you what, the population is waking up to certain facts and data. Okay? So with that, go back to the scientific method if you want to become a strategist and learn how to think into the future, right? But the best way to predict the future is to create it. So as you're being a strategist and moving forward and taking execution and rehypothesizing and going forward, running experiments and so on, right? In essence, you're creating your future. And the best way to predict it is to create it. And that's actually how you do it. This is gold advice. Free game on how you actually create your future by continually doing the scientific process. Question, form a hypothesis, run the experiment or go collect data, use that data to test against your hypothesis, adjust, move forward. That simple. That simple. And these are wonderful rabbit holes to go through because really is no end. Because the better you get and the more progress you experience, the more you crave more progress. And not only the just the fact of moving forward, but like the size and scope of that progress, you want to grow. And it is It's a very positive feedback loop. All you need to do is just get started. So if you want to become a strategist, learn the scientific method and use it throughout your day at all levels of your life. Okay? So before I end this episode, I'm going to end the episode as I end every day, which is when I close my eyes and hit my head at the pillow, the last thing I do is thank God in the universe. Again, for hopefully a day to have lived to my fullest controllable potential and hopefully inspired somebody else such as you. And if you are inspired, you know what it is. It's a karmic balance. So please do share the show. If you're knowledgeable, share the show. That's how we grow. We've been doing this now for over 4 years, giving out free game to hopefully help you live to your fullest controllable potential and hopefully help you on your path to success. Visit all my websites, westlooplaw.com, Cura Connector, CURA Connector.com, MyMedi, I'm MyMeddi.ai, LegacyXToken.com, Naya.ai, 1925 Tequila, Austin Sports Club. It's going to be a banger of the second half of the year. I'm setting up all these things using the scientific method, forming my hypotheses about where I want my investments, my businesses, and my projects to go. So with that, be great today, but be even more grateful. Look forward to bringing you another episode very, very soon.